guy whose body slowly begins to explode when out in space with no spacesuit. Someone tied to a bed for a year, leading to their body decomposing while still alive. And a soldier slowly stabbed to death in combat. These are the 3 gruesome movie scenes we'll be covering in today's video, all from a decade which turned out plenty of gory movies, the 90s. Before we get into the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Oh, and make sure you watch till the end because I've thrown in an extra horrific scene you wouldn't want to watch having just eaten your dinner. And of course, spoiler alert. Detective Lieutenant William Somerset finds himself on one last case with new detective David Mills. But as each gruesome murder scene they turn up at gets worse and worse, they realise they're not chasing your average serial killer. The movie's serial killer John Doe, played by Kevin Spacey, aligns his murders with the 7 deadly sins. And it's when we reach the murder to represent the sin sloth that things get even more shocking. John Doe's next victim, a drug dealer and child molester, is kidnapped and strapped to a bed a year before the 2 detectives begin their investigation. Through multiple means, John Doe is able to keep his victim barely alive but incredibly emaciated. When detectives and police find the man, it seems like he's dead, until shockingly he moves in the bed and startles the officers. An ambulance is called, but as the man's sanity has clearly gone, he's unable to give the officers any information about his captor. It's a scene which definitely sticks in the mind for viewers long after the film ends. A crew of astronauts led by Dr. William Weir, played by Sam Neill, go on a rescue mission into deep space after receiving what appears to be a distress signal from a long-lost ship, the Event Horizon. However, there's no aliens or evil beasts that begin to cause the deaths of each crew member, rather an invisible spirit slowly turning them insane. In the first instance, this demonic spirit takes over the mind of engineer Justin. To ensure he ends up dying, the evil spirit leads him into the ship's airlock, and only after he then engages the decompression phase does the spirit leave him, and he's left to fully realise the fate that awaits him. He's thankfully saved by Captain Miller, but not without experiencing severe injuries resulting from all the liquids in his body beginning to boil and evaporate. A very nasty way to go. We're aboard a troop ship landing craft at the start of 1998's Saving Private Ryan, Spielberg's World War II masterpiece, and we join Captain Miller landing at Omaha Beach with the Allied forces' invasion of France. However, just as soon as they've landed successfully in France, Captain Miller is tasked with assembling a small crew to search for a Private Ryan deep in enemy lines. Private Ryan's 3 other brothers were killed in action, and to save further family bloodshed, it's decided by top brass that Ryan is to be pulled out of combat. For the film's climactic battle, 2 US troop companies come together to defend one of the remaining connecting bridges leading east towards Germany. During the battle, 2 men find themselves in close combat. When one soldier is wounded, it leaves just Private Mellish against an experienced German soldier. After a struggle, the German soldier gets the upper hand and using a standard issue knife attempts the fatal blow to Mellish. What follows is one of cinema's most brutal deaths. Not gory by any means, but it's a scene that still sticks in my mind and vividly brings to life the true horror and violence of combat deaths. Thanks for watching until the end all, and as promised, here's another gruesome death scene that has stayed with me personally for years and years after first watching it in the cinema. It's a much less gory death, more psychological, and I admit the film isn't from the 90s, but I still really wanted to include it in the video. 2007's The Mist is based off the 1980 novella The Mist by Stephen King. A mist descends on a small community and we join the film's lead characters who take refuge in a local supermarket. The film is essentially a study in human behaviour when under extreme duress, examining what humans will do in order to survive, rationalise and cling on to hope in the face of death. The Mist brings forth alien-like creatures who attempt to attack and devour anyone they come into contact with. David Drayton and his family manage to escape in a car. However, there seems to be no end to the Mist, and when the car eventually runs out of gas, they decide on a horrific decision. Use the only available gun to each commit suicide, rather than face the horrors that await them in the Mist. With enough bullets in the gun for everyone except Drayton, he takes it upon himself to shoot his entire family. To even consider the act of having to do that to afford his family the easy death is beyond comprehension. When Drayton commits the horrific act, he leaves the car, and to make matters even worse, it suddenly turns out humans have gained the upper hand and the mist is clearing. If he'd only waited for another 10 minutes, he and his family would have all survived. That's all for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and be sure to comment down below your most memorable horrific movie moment. And I'll see you soon for another video.